Uh, I hit the wrong button. Sorry. I'll have to put these two videos together. That's what Tiger's doing. He's inside, up, and under. Jody says that Mr. Hogan says, you do not tell anybody this. Mr. Hogan, passed away. And I believe, I think in the book, Jody says that Nick Faldo found out about it. Nick Faldo, and I have to review my memory, it's not that good. Either Jody told Nick Faldo or Mr. Hogan told Nick Faldo. So get the book. I know it's in there. But now it's interesting, Faldo went this way. Now I have like I talk about the Hogan's meatloaf drill, which is Mr. Hogan, when he'd go out, he says, God damn it, just like Woody Martin, I want my steaks this way. So he'd go back in the kitchen and he would put salt on the steak and just raw, put it in there, he's done. But the meatloaf, the Hogan's meatloaf drill, we're doing the meatloaf in a different way, and it's a ride over. Now, getting back to the Jody Vasquez book and the Nick Faldo, and we all teach different. David Ledbetter had Nick Faldo, as Nick would say, until the cows come home. He, instead of having his hands this way, he had it this way, so you can see that it makes the shoulder. If you move the shoulder, you're getting yourself into a position where you're going to slow everything down. Nick Faldo, this is coming from me. He's a big man. He could have stayed in there a little bit longer. He says the reason why he retired is he couldn't get the ball out there far enough. But look, he had a beautiful golf swing. He revamped his golf swing. He did anything and every for golf. He loves golf. Who am I to say anything? It's just me understanding some things. But if you look on a clinic, and it's a long clinic that Nick Faldo is doing, he's changed his swing to the inside figure eight shape. I don't want to hurt my hair that I'm going out. Inside figure eight shape golf swing. Because he's here with, he says, this is what I do. I get a heavy bar, heavy club, and I do this. It's almost like a Zorro. And I looked at this, I'm going, shit. And then he gets up there, he says he's hitting a cut. He's doing the Hogan, he's up at the top, he's doing just like Tiger. Tiger Woods says that on the draw, he's hanging back a little bit. On a fade or probably a straight ball, he feels like he's moving forward of it. So these are two paradigms. So I am getting comments now, and some people say, Billy, this is what I'm doing. I have little problems with this. I'm not going to name complete names unless you want to, but please send me like a little video of your golf swing in, that was a good one. 20 seconds, I can figure it out. I've done this. And I can send you either links to my books in the certain chapters or to certain YouTubes, or if you're interested, I will work with you. We don't want to stop learning, okay? I'm not saying I know everything, but I know something. And I'm going to give this out until I'm like my dad, room temperature. My dad and Mr. Hogan, again, smoked the cigarettes. And they were tough people. There's side-by pictures that I have. My dad with the glasses like Mr. Hogan, blue eyes, and he would look at you. You say something stupid, he'd make you feel stupid, just like saying, what the hell's going on here? Hogan had that. Hogan loved certain. He never knew everybody. We all don't. Some of these young kids now, they say, I hate people. And I'm going, shit, you don't even know all of them. You have to know people before you would maybe consider not liking them. You never really try to hate people. That's going to kill you internally. But Mr. Hogan, I'm wrapping this thing up. I talked about Jody Vasquez, about going out, working, shagging golf balls, his book, Afternoons with Ben Hogan, a little bit about my dad, a little bit about Nick Faldo. Nick Faldo, I think he understood that. He didn't implement it when he was playing, but he sure is sugar implementing it now. He's doing this stuff. And So anyhow, that's something that you can on your own study. Now, my deal, real quick, because I'm going to go back. I'm going to get into some other stuff. Is that some folks are saying the letter? How'd you get into it? What is it? I'm going to try to keep this very, very short. Al Barkaw, a very popular historic golf writer, had a private lesson with Ben Hogan. Al Barkaw, back in the day, would follow Mr. Hogan with all the tournaments when Mr. Hogan had all his health problems and was coming back. Mr. Barkaw was there and reported on it, and they had a friendship, relationship. So Al Barkaw kept on saying, okay, I want a secret. What's the secret, Ben? What's the secret? At Shady Oaks, in the back, Mr. Hogan took Al Barkaw in the back and says, get your golf stance, get your swing, get set up. And, of course, you think, people are eating food and cooking and all that. He comes up to Al. Al wears glasses, but I'm just saying. He moved his head, and I talked to Al Barkaw horizontally down in here. And this is where, if you look at Mr. Hogan, he does that. And it's in the handwritten letter. I'm going to tie in about this mystical handwritten letter. Al Barkaw lesson, because in his web scene that's not there anymore, I had a revealing letter. A revealing letter he writes about his lesson and about this mystical letter. And he said Pat Mahoney. That gave, there's other things that were involved, but this is like the meat of the secret of the, Columbo thing. Is I knew, and it was in California, Mahoney, and golf, and I had 300 or 400 names. In my other house, I spent time in the basement. I'm like the bubble boy, a lot of things. Or like Chris Farley would say, you're never going to make it. You're going to be in a trailer down by the river. I don't care. I do a lot of my, creativity, music, and I do all the other crap I do. But getting back to Al Barkaw, Pat Mahoney, and I called, the last call, I prayed to my wife when I was in another house. I had my Hogan staff bag, which is here. It's right here. I got a little clip, my Hogan staff bag. And I says, Lord, look, like Jody found out, Mr. Hogan cared for people that he could get close to. Just like my dad. My mom saw him, and he was so bashful. He was so reserved. His thing was just being able to survive. Mr. Hogan survived and flourished. He took care of his mom and his brothers. He stood out on the street and sold papers. He about 6 or 7 miles back and forth. I think he slept on the newspaper in the trap. Can you imagine that? So he'd get the good guy. You get the good guy when you're caddying, and he watched. Now, I mean, I'm not saying I'm Hogan, but I watch. I might have some type of memory where I can see things. Immediately it clicks and I can organize things. But getting back to Mr. Hogan and the letter, I knew this handwritten letter was real. It was real. It was real. A lot of people say, well, at the end of the page where it's written, it's not the handwriting that we all know of his signature. Well, first of all, this is 1948. This is 1948, prior to him being corporate, prior to him getting hit by a bus, prior to the Power Golf, prior to the 5 Modern Fundamentals. Now, people in the know say that Mr. Hogan, when he had to write his signature, he'd practice. Now, there's very few things I have to practice, maybe sneezing and coughing and some other, body thing. I don't have to practice it. It's natural. It's maybe at one time when I was a little kid. I just do it. I mean, it all changes, right? You get older, arthritic, you have joint problems or whatever. But you don't have to, I have to practice. And this was when he was young, not when he was old, like me. I believe There's other stuff that is proof that it is real. And I'll talk about Judge Mahoney, the son of Pat Mahoney. Pat Mahoney was the PGA pro that Mr. Hogan played exhibition matches. And Mr. Hogan wrote this letter for him. Mr. Hogan wrote it with stickman caricatures showing how the golf swing works. And it's I'm telling you, I'm not holding back. And this is what Tiger's doing. So the deal is that this is all real. Pat Mahoney, the signature that people say, well, it's close, like hand grenades and horseshoes. No, that was his signature. That was his signature on the letter, on the envelope that Pat Mahoney, the father, the real deal, he was one of the first golf merchandisers that Mr. Hogan knew about. He really admired Pat Mahoney for his game of golf, for him being a student, and from him getting clubs from Japan or China. He was like the Donald Trump. And he would make money. Mr. Hogan, and I have pictures of it, it's newspaper clippings. For God's sakes, people, open your eyes. But there's people saying, no, I don't believe Mr. Hogan would do that. And I'm not going to name names. You can figure it out. Jody knows Mr. Hogan. Jody, in his book, Mr. Hogan gave him some money. Well, more money than normal. Yeah, go out on a date. Go have fun. He had a heart. His heart was broken with there's fate and destiny. I'm Christian. I'm not fatalistic. I have free will. God, the Lord, has free will. I was the computer programmer for Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator in California. I was responsible for the emergency services, telecommunication, microwave dishes. In California recently, we had all these fires and stuff. You got CHP, you got the police department, you got the fire department. The walkie-talkies, how they communicate is through these massive microwave telecommunication dishes that are on mountaintops. I maintain databases. Real quick, so you kind of know who I'm at. I got hired. These computer systems, Microsoft touched it, and they screwed it up. They weren't talking to each other. I came in. I couldn't talk to the previous programmer. He wasn't reachable. I couldn't really make heads or sense out of the users or the managers because they didn't know. And I would contact some of the Microsoft people. Oh, no, I don't know. Do this, we do that. I'm sorry for saying that, but it was true. It's like Groundhog Day. I'd have to repeat it over and over again. Well, we'll open the case, now tell me exactly what's going on here. I said, sugar. So I said, look, from my golfing ability, from things I learned going out in the golf course, like I mentioned earlier, I buy a hot dog. Back in the day, we had Pepsi-Cola, Coca-Cola, 7-Up, and then Dr. Pepper, which when everybody went crazy with the Dr. Pepper, what the hell's that? But I'd go out, kind of like Mr. Hogan. I had a Sunday bag, and I'd be out there the whole day. I was like a lumberjack. When I was a young kid, just like these kids that really put out. You get lean and mean, and you just persevere. You don't give up. Don't give up if you're old. I'm 70 years old. I can kick the top of the door. I'm going to do a video. Yeah. I've walked 180,000 miles since I was 20. I've walked and run 180,000 miles. I got an e-bike, and I've got over 2,000 miles on it. I just had it since Valentine's Day. It's doable. But getting back to my dad, getting back to Jody Vasquez, getting back to Al Barkaw, Pat Mahoney, the letter, Kim Venturi knew that was what Mr. Hogan taught. David Ledbetter writes about it in his book, The Fundamentals of Hogan. I have all this documented. But people, when I say this, golf is a very jealous sport. My dad say that. He told me that. He'd say on the first tee when I was announced, Billy Martin, the Sears junior champion, and the Sacramento City champion. So I'm on the tee, so I'm ready. Hogan, I'm getting ready to go like that. And he'd walk up, my dad Woody, with his golf shirt with the pocket with the cigarettes, and he had a towel over the shoulder, and he'd come up to me, and he looks at me like like war. He's telling me like you're going to be okay. He says, "Sonny boy, if you don't have it now, you don't have it." Smoking a cigarette, turns around and walks. What the fuck? I had to get it. I got to get my mind game in. I had to go back, get lined up. I would do it. I would do it. And some folks are interested in what I shoot right now. Now I'm fine, but I've got bone on my knee. I've got a rebounder, and I can walk. I can do a lot of stuff. I haven't played golf in a little while. That's not to say, well, I can hit the golf ball, and I understand the golf swing. I haven't played, let's say, recently. But when I'm playing, I can shoot par or better. And now, I haven't had an opportunity in my life to play maybe some of the golf courses that you guys play, really tough golf courses. And that's because I didn't have the money. I wasn't in that environment. And I appreciate that. But I'm going to... once I get a little bit more money and the weather gets better, I probably will write a book, how to break 70 when you're 70. That'd be cool. And I'm working on my putting. I'm doing a lot of different things. But I'm doing this blathering so you kind of know a little bit more about me. And I've spent a lot of time, a lot of effort. I know Mr. Hogan cared for people. He truly did. He just he housed it. He had so much stuff on his plate. He really did, just like my dad. And he gave to us a treasure trove of information, not necessarily the books. Some of it I think that we want to look into. But he tried. He tried as hard as he possibly could. And I think... I will meet him, and I'll meet my dad. So that's my hope, and I'm and the Lord. So, but anyhow, that's kind of it. If you were in front of me, and I think most of you are right now, I look at you and I would tell you, look, it's in your hands. Your hands, first of all, your hands are the only thing holding on the golf club, and your feet. Now, if you watch Tiger Woods, I said earlier, if you have been studying Tiger Woods, you need to study Hogan. If you study Hogan, you need to study Tiger Woods, or both, if you follow me. Tiger Woods, when he was doing the Hank Haney thing, he'd get the club. So I'm looking, and the bag is here, and I'm standing up. He'd get the club, and then he'd walk backwards. I've checked him. I don't think he's doing it as much. It's like a TV set where the camera's on a track. And then he'd come in here. He was in a box. Now he's doing it with Mr. Hogan, and he comes in. He's coming, setting himself up. He says, and just watch some of these nuances. It's the small things like Mr. Hogan with his zipper. He didn't have zipper in his trousers. He had buttons because if he had to take a piss and it got stuck, he didn't like that at all. It pissed him off. Plus, he had extra spike in his right foot. Yeah. So the small things. What I'm saying now, and I'm going about 18 minutes here. Some people like the lengthy because they can kind of get into my mind and kind of understand where I'm going. So I'm cool with it. But first of all, you got to get the left hand. You got to get the left hand. It's in the book, Afternoons with Hogan, Jody, Vasquez. You need to get that. You got to over accentuate at all or at the beginning. Get it in here. Now, once you get your left hand, get it up at the top, and then the interlocking is good. Is then place your right hand where the left hand is at the top of the swing. Turn around, bring it down. You will find out it's what Mr. Hogan wrote about. It is amazing. Now, if you get here, putter grip, weak, short left thumb, Mr. Hogan you do here. You're all over the map. First of all, you're not going to get your right hand. You're not going to get your right hand that way. You see the difference in that? Here, I can push. Here, I could chop something. We don't, now a certain time people say, well, Billy, sometimes you have to chop it. Okay. Tiger Woods says in his chipping, he's got 12 episodes. His chipping and pitching and stuff. He's hitting hook chips. Yes. He's hitting hook chips. He changes his stance. It's almost like a square or even a draw stance. Mr. Hogan knew that. And I'm going to deploy just little advertisement segments from, Tiger Woods' series. Not My Swing. It's like not My Pillow. Why would you sell, here's my pillow? I mean, the guy's made $1 billion selling his pillow. My shirt. I want to have my shirt. I won't make any money. But you need to get your hands on the club, but the left hand first. And here. Now, I'm going to give you a little nugget of information. I'll probably, if I keep doing this, I'm going to give you everything. Ron Sathoff, if you watch the other videos, was a assistant pro with at champions Jackie Burke, Jimmy Nemeret, back in the day, and he played golf with Ben Hogan. And Ron Sathoff said that you find the ball with your right hand. People don't understand that. They go, no, the impact bag, I'm hitting here, and Hogan talked about the back of the left hand. You see this? If I grabbed a chair, and this is, I talked earlier, Mr. Hogan says, grab the chair, John Schlee, and I did that, especially if you turn the left hip and did that, you're in the crap. You have to have the left hand that way. Take it up at the top. Take it up to the top. Get your right hand inside, up, and under. You see that? Now watch. See how my right hand is set now? It's not this way. That and this. There. There. And then it's going to find the ball. Tiger Woods is doing this now. Now, if you look at the swings of Tiger Woods through the era, where he, up at the top, when he was very young, I mean, he was like 150. He'd take it up. He had that snap release, and then he would come back. He was squared up at the top. He was a puller. Now, if you pull, sooner or later, you're going to have to do something else. You got to launch. You launch, and you can do that. He's not doing it anymore. He got away with it. He hit these rope and drives that would hit and just run. He's not doing it anymore. He's hitting a softer golf ball. He's having his clubs brought back to where he's happy hitting an 8-iron 150, 160 like he was like a kid. He doesn't need it. He's figured this stuff out. It's the longevity. Muhammad Ali, George Foreman. Some of these kids don't even know about these boxers. Ali rope-a-doped. He waited. He waited and waited until he knew he struck. Tiger Woods is going to have at least 5 majors, maybe 2 U.S. Opens and a Master, and the PGA and the British. He's gone. He knew he had his day. God bless Tiger Woods. He's changed his life. He's got kids going on. So I've blathered. I gave you a little bit of nuggets. If you're all interested in what I'm doing and what people that actually knew Mr. Hogan, this, Afternoons with Hogan, Crystal Garcia, My Swing Evolution, Chris Walke at powerposition.com. That has to be right. It's a power position trainer. I know it. I think I'm close. I'm losing my memory a little bit. No. Power Package Trainer. Sorry, Chris. It's Power Package Trainer, golf trainer, and I'll show it. There's a couple trainers that I use all the time. I think about 3, but I'll show you. But I'm giving you some information for the next episode, kind of like a serial where the Jeep's going to fall off. You got to get the book. You got to listen up about the hands. Watch Tiger Woods. Watch Mr. Hogan. Try to develop your life for your kids. With these are truly heroes like my dad and Ben Hogan. God bless you. This is Billy Martin. We'll see each other soon.